Hey guys, Rob here from D&D Toy Reviews, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Micro Cosmos MC01 Elvis, or Voltron. So let's get into it with accessories. Okay, so for accessories, first, you can see that they come with some weapons for the lions. These are just made of straight black plastic. It kind of feels like 3D printed plastic, but I don't think it is because we can see the injection mold lines. They're nicely detailed, but just, plain black blocks of plastic. They're very modular though, so you can mix and match as you please. We of course get Voltron's blazing sword, done in this beautiful chrome. No paint, but it's okay. And we also get the space cutter spinning ninja star shield thing. I forget what it's called. I think it's called space cutter. Anyway, the handle is removable. And the handle is made of the same black plastic as the weapons on the lions. And it does spin on the handle if you want it to. And that's about it for accessories. So let's jump into lion articulation. Alright, so for the lion articulation, for their size, they're pretty well articulated. I mean, these are pretty tiny guys. The tail is on a series of hinges, so you can get some posability out of the tail. The hips for the legs are on ball joints, so you can get a decent enough range of motion. Hinges in the legs. There's a twist that becomes the bicep for Voltron, and you can get a bit of rotation in there as well. The front legs slide out for lion mode, but they don't lock in the outwards position. So when you're handling it, it is very easy to just accidentally pop them back in, but it's not a big deal. Pretty much the same articulation, ball joint for the hip, some hinges, a ball joint. Oh, no, sorry, no, the red and green lion don't have the ball joint. There is die cast in some of these as well. The peg here, that will later peg into the shoulder on Voltron, this is made of die cast, which is really nice. When I first opened them up, I was a little worried it was going to be made of plastic. And it's a pretty, it's a decent size, but it's a tight fit, which is good because you don't want the arms to sag. But if it were made of plastic, I could easily see it ending up shearing off or snapping from the constant twisting. But they took that into account, and it seems to be made of die cast. Back up at the head, we get up and down. No twist, which is unfortunate, or at least, I can't seem to get it to twist. And the mouth hinges open and closed. So that's pretty much the same for the red and green lions. Now, when you get it, red lion comes with number 3 and green lion comes with number 2. So to swap those out, it's really easy. Just pop the leg off at the ball joint. Take these 2 screws out, open it up, swap the numbers, close it, screws back in, leg back on, done. You got the proper numbers. Unfortunately, Black Lion has a T molded onto the top of him instead of a 1, so there's not really anything you can do about that since it's molded into the plastic, unless you wanted to just cut those bits off and then paint it black on top. Blue and yellow, pretty much the same articulation as red and green, just the front paws, is it? Oh no, one of these guys has ball joints on the feet. Anyway, so pretty much the same articulation. These things just pop on and off, and you can see here that the post can come out as well. So you can mix and match to your heart's desire. Switch it to the other side. You can combine it with one of the other ones. You could even take one of these launchers and stick it in there, put this on the back of the lion, whatever you want. Now we do get a little bit of rocking motion at the front legs here. These are on a ball and a hinge, and that's because they transform into boxes like the 52 Toys figures do. I won't be covering the box transformation because honestly I think that's kind of dumb. We don't get any torso articulation on the lions, but because of the way they transform into Voltron to give us some ankle movement, they do unlock here. So you could theoretically use that as a joint, and also that's to transform them into boxes, I believe. It just locks back into place. There's a slot in there, if we can get it to focus. There's a slot there and a peg on here, and you just peg that in, like so. We get some, oh, we just unpegged it again. We get some up and down at the head. Again, no rotation, at least not that I can get to work. And the mouth opens and closes. Now, blue and yellow, the heads are a little big looking compared to the rest of the lion's body. But I think that's because they put the emphasis on Voltron rather than the lions. And if you're going to sacrifice something, I think sacrificing something on the lions is probably better than sacrificing something on Voltron. So for Black Lion, these guns peg in at the top there, but you can just unpeg them, so you can free up the articulation here. Now the head on Black Lion is very small in comparison to the rest of the body, but again, that's for Voltron, so that the head is scaled properly for Voltron. So like I said, if they're going to sacrifice something, I think sacrificing the lions to put the emphasis on Voltron is probably the right call. So we have squeaky hips. This is for the, this will form up the thigh for Voltron, so this is where most of the articulation on the toys is going to be located, is in Black Lion, in terms of lion mode anyway. We get hinges. Here, we've got ball joints. Oh, those do pop off, but they go right back on. Ball joints for the back feet. The shoulders, the front legs will get some movement at the shoulder. They'll pull out if you want to get a nice spread out pose. They do rotate. We get some hinges. The head for Black Lion has lots of articulation. So we get a head rotation here. We can get it up and down, move it around, lots of motion for the head. So that's good. So now we're just going to pop off these weapons so we can see what they look like without them. Just get all these things off. And as you can see, they all just pop right apart, and there goes one of them. So you can get some modular play out of the weapons, which is nice. You can customize them as you please. And I do believe those stay on if you want to transform Voltron up. You don't have to take those off, but we're just going to go with the standard look for Voltron here. And I think the wings on Black Lion are die cast, but I'm not 100% sure. There is die cast throughout Black Lion as well. They all have some die cast in there, which is good. It makes it nice and sturdy. So, moving on from there, let's get into transformation. Okay, so to transform up Voltron, we're going to start with the legs. We want to fold the tail up, like so. Yeah, I can feel the die cast in here. And that just folds down, like that. The legs are just going to fold up in a Voltron-y way. Just, like the standard leg transformation on any Voltron toy. So those just fold up. We flip up the head, and we can unlock that peg in there to give us a nice little ankle rocker for Voltron. And the legs just fold up, push in, and there we go. There's a leg. So, just make sure everything's nice and flat to give Voltron good support. Do that again over here. Fold up the tail. Fold up the legs. We do get a nice hinge at the toe as well. So, for lion mode, you can get it angled a bit more. It doesn't bend forward, but it does bend backwards to fold up that leg nice and tidily for Voltron. So we just get that all folded up. The joints are nice and stiff too. The plastic feels very similar to if you've ever handled a Magic Square third-party Transformer toy, then you'll know what this plastic feels like. It's kind of like I think it's like a vinyl type plastic. It's nice and sturdy. I don't feel like anything's going to break on these guys, which is definitely a plus. So for the arms, first we're going to unfold that peg, move that down. We open up this hinge here, fold up the tail, fold that in, fold up the legs, and again we have that nice hinge there to make it all tidy, and just angle it how you think looks good for Voltron. Fold everything up and around. Oh, I'm going the wrong way for something here. None of these things lock in place, so it's kind of just, put it where you think it should go and hope it stays. Fold up the legs, push them in, and there's an arm. So we'll do the same for Green Lion. Fold, fold, fold. Flip that hinge all the way down. Collapse. Wrap everything around. And get it into the place we want. Bing, bang, boom. Almost done. Fold up this leg. Fold up this leg, make sure they're pushed in. And there's the other arm. So moving on to Black Lion, we're going to start by folding up this tail. So Black Lion's tail, we just collapse it in like this, and it folds in to cover up his butt. So that's all nice and folded in and covered up, nice and tidy like. Swing the legs down. Oh, it's really squeaky. Flip down those skirt flaps, flip down the side flaps, and they do hinge in on themselves, so they won't get in the way for articulation. If you wanted to leave them down, you could. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, or you can just fold them up so they're out the way. Oh, yeah, there's that foot popping off again. It happens, but it's not a big deal. And then we want to straighten out the legs. Oh, there goes that foot again. Just give me 1 second while I get that back on there. Sorry about that. These things do happen. Not a big deal, just pops right back on there. Now, we do need to fold the foot back a little bit, if I remember correctly. Because it's going to plug in. Oh, no, we don't, sorry. My mistake. We can just leave it straight down like that. I think the weakest part is probably these ball joints, because those do pop off. And we're just going to slide that in there in a second. So for the arms, we're going to flip up the wings on Voltron first to get those out of the way. And the arms are just going to fold in and around to fill in that shoulder. Same here, we rotate it, flip it up and around, fill in the shoulder, and that's done. Now the face is a little tricky to get out. There's a very tiny lip for you to grab there, but it is super small. So I would suggest you just get a tool to help you pop that out a little bit. And that just comes down. It locks into the lower jaw on Black Lion there. So when you go back to transform it, you want to pop this face out first and fold it in. Because if you don't fold it in first, it doesn't want to go. And if you try to force it, you're going to pop that jaw right off, which I've done, and it's not a big deal. It pops right back in. But again, you don't want to risk breaking the posts or the post hole for the face. We flip the face down, fold out Voltron's ears. Now this does have the same issue that a lot of Voltron toys have, in that these don't lock in any position. So it's possible to get them way down and you've got sad Voltron. So just, kind of eyeball wherever you want it. And now we can put Voltron together. So we take a leg, and there's a slot here, a slot in here that we're going to slide the leg into. And it just slides in. There are 2 posts on there and two slots for them to slide in. We just push it in, and it's in. And it's a nice, good, sturdy connection. It's not going to come off. Do the same with blue. And that's in, locked. Get Voltron standing up. And pop on green, pop on red. There's a post hole right in here. There it is. And you just pop that peg on the lines in, and voila. we have a Voltron. So, let's get into Voltron's articulation. Alright, so for Voltron's articulation, starting at the head, we get a swivel, and the neck swivels as well. And there is a hinge here for when you transform it into a box, because the head tucks into the chest cavity. So it does kind of pop out of place sometimes, but you can just push it back in place. So we get good articulation. The head is on a ball joint. Little bit, let's see if we can get that, little bit of wiggle waggle. Move that up a bit. Plenty of up and down, side to side, so good articulation for the head. The arms swivel, hinge out, and this part of the chest, it will move around when you're moving the arm because it doesn't lock into place anywhere. If it had a locking point, that would be nice, but it's not the biggest deal. And it also hinges out to give us a really nice butterfly joint. So we get a bicep swivel under the bicep. We get a hinge that gets us about 90 degrees, but if we twist the lion and hinge it again, there's another hinge here for the box transformation that actually lets us curl up all the way. And you can see that's pretty much how it looks when it's transformed into a box. But it lets us curl the arm all the way up. The only downside is, without that swivel, you're going to have to rely on positioning the arm just right. Otherwise, the hand is always going to be twisted to the side. We get a waist swivel. It does kind of bump into these skirt armors, but if you need them out of the way, they just hinge down. And then it's bumping into the front here. So you do have a bit of a limited waist, but it still gets you plenty of articulation. Unfortunately, we do not seem to have an ab crunch anywhere. That's the one point of articulation it does not have, but considering how much articulation there is in this, I think that's forgivable. We get forward on the hips all the way. Back, the hip skirts on the back will get out the way too, so we get all the way back. We get a thigh swivel, a double jointed knee, so Voltron can kick himself in the back of the shoulder. That is really squeaky. And if we unlock the peg here, we get a pretty decent ankle rocker and some back and forth on that joint. So all in all, some really good articulation on Voltron. And to plug in the shield, we open the mouth. There's a hole right there, and there are pegs on the shield handle. Just peg that in. That wasn't in frame, sorry. Close up the mouth. Voltron's got his shield. And we can spin it around if we so desire. And so for the blazing sword, again, there's a peg on the sword right there. Get that in focus. There is a peg hole inside the mouth of Red Lion. And we're just going to take the blazing sword, peg it in there, close the mouth, and there we go. Voltron is ready to slay some Robeasts. Just fix that leg up a little bit. So there we go. That is a really nice looking Voltron, and he's pretty tiny too for a Voltron. I mean, usually Voltron toys are really large, but for a sense of scale, here he is next to a Mezco Batman, which is a 1/12 scale. And you can see, I mean, he's barely taller than Batman. So it's a pretty small Voltron. And that's okay. I mean, we don't have to have a huge Voltron for everything. Nice paint work on the cross on the chest here. And the belt buckle is also painted yellow. Some nice paint on the skirts here with the red stripe. The paint apps are not excessive, but what's there does look very nice. And just to give you an idea of another Voltron here he is next to the Super Mini Pla Voltron. And you can see they're pretty much the same scale, almost, give or take, his legs are bent. So, yeah, great Voltron, not huge, fun to play with, lots of articulation. And I will do a video comparing the two Voltrons at some point in the future. And you can see this one's got the, more anime accurate coloring. So they did put a lot of gray on this Voltron instead of white, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, should you get one? Definitely. It's a great Voltron toy, and I would really like to see what Micro Cosmos has planned for future toys. It's really well built, not expensive, fun to play with, and it looks good. So, there you go. There's a review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.